final panel of the IAA Transportation main stage. It is bittersweet. Bitter because I'm going to miss all of you, but sweet because we have such a lovely panel in store for you. A very international panel with representatives from Germany and Korea. I'm very pleased to introduce this next one. It's on city planning of the future, new transportation concepts in old cities. Please give a very warm welcome to our final group of panelists here, and the moderator, Carla Westerheide, an editor at DVZ. Welcome, Carla, and her panelists.
So we got the hardest job of the day. We have to close this conference. And yeah, we are a lovely potpourri of people from all different aspects of new concepts and mobility. And like Sarah just said, our panel is called City Planning of the Future, New Transport in Old Cities, ? There's a question there, so we want to see if new concepts can actually work in old cities. And I'm not going to decide this, but you guys are. And next to me is Martin Gruber, Managing Director of Jebsen and Jessen Solutions, Johann Jungwirth, SVP of Autonomous Vehicles by Mobileye, and Professor Jae Oh, President of Korea Transport Institute. Thank you guys so much for joining me. My first question is, what role does transportation actually play, or maybe should play in the future when planning new city concepts? Martin, I'll start with you.
Okay, I think it's very important to have always in mind the transport in the cities and the new concept of the cities, because we must try to avoid passenger cars in the cities, in the old cities also. And I think in the future, all planning will go in direction to have collective transport in the cities and not to avoid passenger cars.
So you say passenger cars, maybe I should say you also work in the electric mobility, electric buses. So I guess that's the key, key there, why you are saying, okay, public transport is maybe, or shared transport is the solution. Johann, you work in autonomous driving. Mobileye does a lot of driver's assist and autonomous driving. What do you say? What role does transportation play, or will play in the future when planning new city concepts?
I think it's key, and I would actually say multimodal transportation is actually key to success. Every city is different. We see it, kind of country by country. We see different models, but I mean, at the end of the day, people need to move from A to B. People need to move around, and I think the best, let's say, city planning takes into account, of course, the city, let's say, unique things about the city itself, but then also it's a mix of public transportation, being it subways, high-speed trains, and everything else that's needed to connect between cities. But then within the city, I personally believe that over time we will see less, personal, individual transportation and more shared transportation. We see here in Hanover, Moyas driving around even on the fair, and it's about pooling, and that's where I think autonomous transportation comes in as well. To at the end of the day allow efficient transportation, taking out the driver costs and so on, and bringing transportation to everyone, with individual, let's say, self-driving taxis, with shuttles, with buses, and of course with trains.
Professor, how is it in Korea? What kind of concepts are there on the streets? I mean, you have very old cities, but you have very new concepts. What do these concepts look like, these mobility concepts?
Yes, I think it's the concept of new mobility might be very similar for every cities. But each city has its own problems. Also, each city has its own strengths or weaknesses in terms of mobility or transportation infrastructure. But I think in Korea, generally, the new mobility in Korea is generally now is responding very quickly, very aggressively responding to the general mega trend, such as the post-industrial revolution, that is the technology matter, and the climate the change crisis, and also the what is the more important matter is the labor shortage. I mean the aging population and the change of the population structure, something like this. So in response to those issues, the mobility is very changing very quickly in a very diversified way. For example, there is a big difference between the large big cities and the local small cities. Usually, local small cities are aging people and the lack of the ridership for public transportation service. So we have to respond to the people's mobility in a different way. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, then we'll go to back to the public transport and electric buses. You told me, we're not doing this completely spontaneous, we did chat a little bit before, when we talked about bus versus individual mobility, and you said the idea is that everything works smoother, there'll be less traffic and no individual mobility in the cities. But that kind of then takes out maybe ride pooling, or even, I mean, does it have to be a large electric bus, or can it be a small electric bus?
Exactly.
More of a shuttle?
Exactly. For example, in Jessen is a solutions provider for electromobility, and we have in our portfolio big buses for 12, 18 meters, but also we have buses between 7 meters and 12 meters. That means that because something is common in the old cities is there are narrow streets and the pollution. And what we are looking for a solution to have narrow buses, small buses, that also carries 30, 35 people in small streets, narrow streets, trying to move quickly through the old cities, but always with zero emissions. Because I think when it's common, as our colleagues here said, that is every city is different, but something is always in common, is the pollution. And we should try to avoid the pollution in the cities, and therefore we are focused on the electromobility in all different sizes of the vehicles that we are providing. And it's not only the electromobility as the vehicle, it's also the charging points that also could be opportunity charging in the city or in the depot. Depends, there is many different systems.
You just said the keyword charging infrastructure. Charging infrastructure for buses is a little bit bigger than for individual cars. You're in an old city, you have limited amount of space. Where do you put it?
There are some concepts to have like a pantograph that is, and you can integrate in the design of the city. You have to put it with a style design so that it's not something like a light or something like that. It's not a problem. And then you can avoid to have big batteries in the vehicle and to charge every round in a certain place without have a problem with the design and the old style of the city. It's possible.
And the battery or the infrastructure that you need to behind the pantograph, I mean, it's also quite large. It's not even just the bus.
Exactly. We have also concepts in the city from Schaffhausen in Switzerland, where the charging infrastructure is in the city, in the old city, but it's mounted below a building so that you cannot see anything, that you can see only the charging point, and it's very style. And every round, the buses comes there, 3 minutes charging, and then go the next round. And this is possible with the new technology that we are providing.
Okay. Yeah. Invisible battery, invisible driver. You have a whole different concept. Obviously, autonomous vehicles are mostly electric. Can autonomous driving work at this stage when there's still not a whole lot of it? So if you have just a low percentage of autonomous vehicles versus in a big city. I know you're trying your concept in New York and Munich. There's a lot of traffic there. I mean, does it make a difference if there's an autonomous vehicle sitting in traffic versus a vehicle with the driver?
So there are a few questions here, and I have to say, like, first of all, you know, in case you have not experienced a self-driving vehicle yet, or you have not, let's say, maybe followed this too closely, you can see one of our latest, 40-minute drives without intervention in, the city of Jerusalem. You can just YouTube it and search for Mobileye Jerusalem Robotaxi. You will see me actually driving around for 40 minutes, and just to get a sense for it. I mean, what we see is the technology is there, the sensing is there, the compute power is there. It's all coming together. It's really more about now getting the certification, the vehicle homologation, and type approval. So that's on the let's say, are we ready for it? Yes, the answer is yes. It's really about now reaching the, let's say, the safety level, the mean time between failures of at least of a human driver, or 10x or 100x safer. On the second part, I do believe that we will see mixed traffic, and you will see that on that video as well if you just drive along. Very, very difficult scenes, mixed traffic with scooters, with bicycles, motorcycles, people doing illegal maneuvers, fire vehicles, everything. I mean, driving is complex. And yes, I think for at least 20 years, we will have mixed traffic, probably beyond that. And self-driving vehicles have to cope with that. They need to be able to drive like a human driver, just safer, to your second question. And the third one, basically, I think for that, to reduce the amount of vehicles and reduce traffic in cities, I think we need to convince people with great mobility concepts that they actually move over and change their habits a bit. Like, you see cities which have great public transportation, people accept it and use it, right? The same way, actually, I do believe, as soon as we have concepts like ride pooling, shuttle concepts, and I think they will be more efficient, and they will also be more, let's say, kind of cost optimized, and also, let's say, more accessible for everyone without having the driver cost, is providing shuttle services, ride pooling services, basically, and those, in an attractive way and in a convenient way with low wait times. You don't have to switch over, and it's like lower wait than having to go to a bus station with a cycle time. You can order it on demand with an app. And I think we'll see that transition as well. So basically making cities quiet and clean with electric vehicles, then making transportation actually very seamless and convenient and safer with autonomy. And I believe that this can be done also in old cities, yeah.
I said in the beginning, we're a lovely potpourri of people here from all different aspects of the industry. And we have a research institute, we have a tech company, and we have a mobility solutions provider. And my question is, when we talk about new concepts, old city or new city, it doesn't matter, but who needs to drive this change? Who needs to drive towards electric mobility, towards autonomous driving, or towards a whole different type of digitalization and maybe mobility as a service solutions? Does it have to be a research institute? Does it have to be a tech company that says, look, it works? Or does it really have to be the mobility solutions provider that says, yeah, I have a whole concept for you, try it out? Professor Rao, I want to ask you that question. Does your research institute have to drive that change? Or are you more the one who says, okay, we follow where the technology takes us?
I'm sorry, can I ask?
Who needs to drive the change towards new mobility concepts? A research institute, a tech company, or a mobility solutions provider?
Yes, I think it's the transformation, the process of transformation is quite complex. It's very complex. So it's a lot of the actors and also the many stakeholders which affect the process, and also the work closely together to come to the future, the destination. I think it's basically the my institute is the research institute. So we are providing some not only the technology, but we are more focusing on the policy framework, policy ecology. So we are recommending the government to reform the regulations or legislations, something like this, which is necessary for the speed. What is the progress of the transformation, actually. So I think usually say many people believe the technology is very important. Without the technology, it doesn't work. But at the same time, also the legal or the regulatory framework is, I think, is more important actually. So actually the market also very important. So we also I would like to emphasize the role of the people as a user, or as a consumer. You see, so it's the transformation is not only a matter of technology development, but also the industry matter, but also the market matter. So that's why the automobile industry, manufacturing industry, and also the mobility service industry, also the consumers, users, are all related. So all the actors are moving forward in a more comprehensive or more balanced way to establish a kind of the very smooth transition or the smooth market-based the ecology, something like this. Yeah.
Johann, you keep nodding, so I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm a journalist. I like clean answers, very direct answers. Who do you think drives this change in old cities and new cities towards new mobility concepts? Professor O said it's everyone together. Everybody needs to come together at the table, but who's the first sitting at the table?
So we already see today, right, that some cities move faster than others, some countries move faster than others. And that's actually very interesting. I mean, when you look at electric mobility, and we just now, zoom into Europe. I live in Israel now, in Jerusalem, and of course see the change in Israel, in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and so on. Even lots of new subways are being built now. A lot of investment in infrastructure. But just one example is Norway. And we saw Norway taking like a leadership role in Europe when EVs started, and they incentivized it. They created tax let's say reduction models, and it functioned. I mean, you look at the number of new vehicles being sold now in Norway compared to other countries. They are still ahead. And it's interesting actually. Oslo is now again trying to do the same when it comes to AVs. They have set up a plan for the greater Oslo area, trying to actually establish 30,000 vehicles, autonomous vehicles, by 2030. A very ambitious plan. And of course, their let's say, goal is to bring people out of their personal car, out of their individual transportation, and offer them really an attractive, mobility offering, transportation offering, to get from A to B, being it for leisure or for work, for commutes, or any let's say type of getting from A to B or visiting friends and family. And so I do believe that similar. I mean, I just think about another example. You look at bicycles, and now with e-bikes and so on, like a lot more people are using bicycles again, right? It's almost like a revolution, like turning the wheel back and getting people now to use biking or bikes. And it's interesting, a city like Copenhagen and others, and Amsterdam and so on, they've invested that in having these high-speed bike trails and so on. And so I think there are a lot of, let's say, things cities can do, whether old or new, And at the end of the day, I think it's still not 100% clear who will lead, but individual cities like Oslo, like others, I think Tel Aviv will also be an interesting case study, but also Barcelona, and you think about Paris, trying to become a 15-minute city that people don't even have to use transportation. They can just walk 15 minutes to get all their general basic services done. So I think different concepts, but at the end, all thinking about how to make people's life easier and make it more convenient to enjoy life and not even think about transportation or other things.
Yeah, you're also nodding. But what I just don't understand. Do you need the technology first? Do you need the concept first? Or do you need the political framework first?
I think the citizens want to have a better life quality. And they are pushing, and you can see it in all elections, all politicians are looking in this direction. In our discussions with the operators, always they are asking for new ideas, for example, autonomous driving or new concepts, and then they are looking what others are doing. They are going to Schaffhausen, to Barcelona, to Copenhagen, and looking what the others are doing. I think here it's also important what the work that the institutes are doing, because they are more focused on these kind of solutions, and they can provide also these solutions to the operators. But now I think each city is looking what is the best for himself, and then trying to developing. And for example, in the discussion that we have with the operators, they're asking about autonomous driving. They are asking of how they can do some only with one vehicle is with a driver, the next vehicle is without a driver, such kind of concepts. And we can provide the vehicle, but we are also in touch with Mobileye and other suppliers that can provide us with the technology, and then trying to move it. But I think the first step comes from because the people want to have a better quality, better life quality, and that will move to the politicians, and only if there are some tax reduction or there are some fundings, because this technology is new also for the operators. I think everything is now there. Now is how we combine these vehicles with this technology, with these ideas, how we can move faster. There are some concepts, like in Jerusalem or Malaga and other cities for autonomous driving. That's the first steps, but it will go more in this direction, because so we must also consider that if we want to have less passenger cars and then better movement in the city, you need also the drivers. And not all drivers is also, for example, here in Germany, a big lack of drivers. And also, we must look for the future how we can move these vehicles into the city without pollution and with these new concepts. But it's a mixture of ideas, people, and of course, the support of the politician.
Okay. Our panel, like I said, is called New Transports in Old Cities ? It is a question. Johann, you are trying your vehicles in New York, Detroit, Munich. None of them are particularly new cities. Can new concepts work in old cities? I know it's a yes or no question, but...
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, actually, we have been testing our self-driving vehicles in about 20 cities. And,
Jerusalem, sorry.
Yeah, many of them, I think we were at about 12 cities or so beginning of this year or so. Now we are at about 20. We have actually just done recently two, long drives, like 2,000 kilometers in Europe from Barcelona all the way down to, Monaco and, let's say Spain, France, Italy, Austria, Germany, and also like 1.5, 2 hours through Genoa, really busy commute traffic in the morning without an intervention, or maybe with one, support or so here and there. But I think what I'm trying to say is generally, whether it's old or new, I think the answer is yes. First of all, autonomy works. We can, confirm that based on our own testing, and we have posted actually several of these videos. You will see also our drive in Manhattan, or in Munich, or as I said, in Jerusalem and in other parts, in Tokyo just recently, in Asia, and driving on the other side of the road. So I think that problem, let's say, is being solved or is solved, and it's more about now, let's say, having the regulatory framework in place and getting the type approval and then rolling out the services. But I think for older cities, I'm thinking about now even the old city in Jerusalem, which is really, really dense. Even there, we are able to drive, and I think also older cities can embrace all new forms of transportation. It will be maybe a different mix of modalities, being it scooters, bike lanes, self-driving taxis or ride-hailing, or more shuttles, because it might be also like mixed zones. I mean, we saw it here at the fair. I just took a Moya shuttle to get to this hall, and it was like even an open road, open for pedestrians, and driving, let's say, pedestrians and bicycles and vehicles in using the same space. I think even that is possible.
Okay. I want to take a little detour because Professor O just said in his last answer, well, you need to consider the market and the users who use public transport. What if we look outside of the city, a bit in the rural areas? Because the market is obviously not quite as profitable for those concepts maybe in rural areas. It's expensive, electric mobility, you have longer distances. You need maybe more than just one pantograph in order to get those distances covered with electric buses. Can these concepts that you guys are developing mainly for cities be taken to the rural areas? Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after?
Yes, okay, I think it's always possible. We must see that also the technology, the chemistry from the batteries are changing, the energy density is increasing, and of course we must go step by step. And now the focus are more in the cities because also is where more pollution is there. But the next step, and we have also concepts for with hydrogen or with more density batteries that could also use for suburban areas. And but not only with the buses, also with the trucks, because also in the cities there's a lot of trucks that are doing the last mile for the shops and so on. And also we are also providing these kind of vehicles so that the whole mobility in the whole city and also outside the city could be then go to zero emissions.
So we're not talking about just public transport, but all sorts of municipal services.
Fast vehicles, exactly.
Okay. And what about Mobileye? I mean, I guess you have more space for your vehicles, but there's also a lot more space to cover that you need to map out before you put your vehicle on the road.
Now, as a company, we support, let's say, all of these technologies from ADAS, from driver assistance systems, cloud-enhanced driver assistance systems, including maps to make driving more safe. And we have what we call Mobileye supervision, which is basically a level 2+, system where you can do hands-off driving and let the vehicle drive, but eyes on and minds on, and get, let's say, support to have safer and more, let's say, convenient, driving even in your own personal vehicle. And then we have Mobileye Chauffeur, which is basically for consumer vehicles, so it's level 3, level 4 type of technology for consumer vehicles. So I think on the countryside or rural side, of course, people will rely more on their personal car. Now, many of them, are also equipped with our technology just to make driving safer, whether it's hands-on or hands-free. And then, of course, let's say when it comes to these new mobility concepts, mobility as a service in the rural area, at the end, I do believe that mobility service providers will actually offer these services also there. We are in a lot of discussions, with manufacturers of buses also to make, even 12-meter buses, self-driving. Of course, also shuttles for like 8 to 12 people. And maybe let's say the wait time is a bit longer if you are in a rural area, and maybe the frequency is a bit, let's say, lower. But I actually do believe that autonomy will help also rural areas and make these offerings, let's say, for a service provider, for an operator, more attractive again. Because, we know today with buses about 60% or so, 50 to 60% of the costs, of the total cost, is the driver. And so taking that out, you can actually support, let's say, more frequent, let's say, self-driving shuttles or self-driving buses also in the rural areas. And, since just thinking about like a personal car, which is, where you have to drive it, it's, of course, a waste of time, right? I mean, there are billions of hours every year wasted because people are, let's say, behind the wheel and they have to basically do the driving. I think once that is going away, even the commute work, people can work. People can, read a book or spend time with their families if they're on a family trip and so on. So I think this concept actually of giving this time back and not having to drive, it's a revolution. I mean, for me, this is really like going from horses and horse carriages, to the automobile like 140 years ago. I think that's what will happen and what we will experience in the next 5 to 20 years.
Like I said, this panel didn't quite. It's not quite as spontaneous as I were trying to make it seem. No, you guys don't know my questions, but obviously we did talk beforehand, and I was very interested to learn that in Korea, in the cities, there's not so much public transport, but way more mass mobility as a service. And do you think Korea can there kind of take, on the role of a role model to show other countries or in the world, to show how it could work in the future?
Okay, thank you very much for your mentioning the Korea is as a kind of role model. Thank you very much. I think it's the yes, Korea in the past half century or 30 or 40 years time, Korea did quite well in especially in the infrastructure development and also the very convenient and cost-effective, affordable public transportation service or logistics within a very short time. It's quite very remarkable progress, and then also the very much contributing to the very rapid economic growth as well. I think transportation is very important for the competitiveness of the economic growth actually. So yes, I think we know the problems ahead. For example, the congestion or the congestion, and also the safety, and also the air pollution problem. And for example, in the big metropolitan area, we still have a very serious the commuting problems. Also the lack of service in the late night, midnight. For example, in these days we had some problems with the taxi drivers. So I thought the labor shortage problem is quite remote, but from this taxi drivers problem, I came to recognize the drivers problem, labor shortage problem is very imminent. So might be the technology or autonomous vehicle or some the platform business might be a good solution to solve such problems like this. Also in the local cities, as I said, the local cities are basically aging population and declining population. So actually the conventional, traditional public transportation service does not work, basically. Okay, so we have to respond to the demand differently. So-called, as you already said, the kind of something like the demand responding public transportation service is necessary. But the problem is, or the sharing mobility also is very necessary. But the problem is the taxi drivers are still very strong. The union of taxi drivers strong to make the move forward in providing the mobility service in the local areas, or even in the late night, midnight, the service, something like that, you see. So I believe the Korea will move forward to provide such the innovative service coming to maybe several years time. And then the hope we can provide some the good model, role model for the
rest of the world.
New innovative service in the future, I think. Okay, thank you.
One thing, we're talking about old cities. I think we can all agree on what an old city is, but we're also talking about new concepts, new mobility concepts. So what is a new mobility concept for you? And don't say electric mobility, but electric mobility has been around for quite some time now.
Yeah. Okay, new concepts could be that vehicles are guided automatically. That is also something that was checked in the past and works also in some cities. For example, in Spain, also in Castellón, there are some vehicles or buses that are with guidance, and theoretically they only need a driver. They are checking that everything is fine, but the next step will be autonomous. Of course, trying to have an environment where, like we see here, that buses, sharing cars, bikes, and pedestrians are going through without special lines for buses, special lines for bikes, special lines for pedestrians. That is a combination of everybody going safety in the same area, and then they have more space to interact with others. But there are a lot of concepts that are considered in different cities, and there are some people that are more advanced and others that are more conservative, but I think it will go in this direction.
Okay.
Maybe just an add-on to this. I think it's a very, very good question, and of course we have a lot of, let's say, smart people here, also at IAA Transportation, and the different brands and the different, let's say, operators. Now, since we are at IAA Transportation, I was thinking also about transportation of goods, right? Not just of people. And in that space, I think autonomy, self-driving vehicles will also make a huge difference, being it, hub-to-hub transportation of the large, Class 8, large trucks and so on. But thinking about the question from before, also about the rural areas, if you think about now that you can put services on wheels, since you don't have a driver, you don't have a cabin, and especially in rural areas, right, we see that a lot of services basically disappear. Pharmacies close, other stores close because it's not, profitable to be in these spaces. Now, you can put these services on wheels and just let them to be, like 1 day a week in these like smaller towns, rural areas, to offer these services to people, being it little stores on wheels, or like vending machines on wheels, or a pharmacy on wheels, or anything on wheels. I think that's one big kind of new mobility concept space, which will be enabled by technology and the right, products offering, and the right, let's say, design of the vehicles. And the other side, thinking about transportation of people, I mean, if you think about now the bus, it's basically a bus, it's open, it's automatically public, and you don't have your private space and so on. We have done studies in Barcelona, actually, with like 2 different concepts for shuttles. One where basically each individual has a little cabin and with its own door, or think about like even an ICE or a high-speed train today. It has like the open space, and then it has these little cabins. It's still for like 6 people or 4 people or so, but you can make those even smaller and can say, okay, maybe if a shuttle or a little bit longer shuttle or bus, it's divided into different compartments. One is open, with like open spaces and people face each other, see each other, and you can, as you enter this, let's say, shuttle, you can decide, and maybe even when you book it, do I want to be in like a social open space and talk to others, maybe even get to know some people on the ride, or do I book a cabin, kind of an individual space, which is really your private space. You can have, your work phone calls, or you can have a personal conversation with your lawyer or whatever it might be you want to do, and you need privacy. So I think that's also something where, of course, the manufacturers are being asked to design, let's say, for these individual use cases. But I really think that the interior, basically, of these products will be, let's say, the exterior of the future, and where the innovation will happen, and even collaboration maybe with design, let's say, brands, or with furniture companies, and so on. Because now you can just think about this empty space and make this, whatever you want it to be. An office on wheels, a movie theater on wheels, something beautiful on wheels, like the rooms in your home. Yeah.
Something beautiful on wheels is nice. There is actually a woman that wasn't here, unfortunately, today, not on our panel, but she was planned on another, has a very strong opinion about the autonomous driving and the combining of then or transport of people and transport of goods. And if you want to know who that was, you can Google me and check out the DVZ website. I wrote a nice article on her and about her ideas. And yeah, I want to say thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
The future is coming, little by little.
It's not now here.
And it's going to be on wheels, yeah. The future is going to be on wheels. Yeah, thank you so much. I thank you guys for listening, and also to everybody in the live stream. And yeah, I'm Sarah.
Yeah, thank you
I guess
very
the last
much.
word is going to be yours, right?
Well, you've saved the best for last. Guys, thank you so much. A big round of applause for our panelists. It is not easy to go last. And a big thank you from me to all of you who have stuck it out with us until the bitter end. Thank you also to our technical teams, to everybody who did a translation or did the security or the makeup or anything behind the scenes. It took a lot of people to make this happen. So now it's my turn to clap for you. I'll see you guys in 2 years. And until then, have a great weekend. See you soon.